Hello, everybody. Yeah, this is Reno, the road pirate, the old man. and yeah, I like to. Many people ask many questions about me. So I think I go make a live video on YouTube and tell you a bit about my life. Yeah, where to start? I think the best is to start there where I be born, and that's the East Frisian part of Germany. I be born in Leer, Leer. It's very close to the border of the Netherlands, and it's close to the North Sea. So that part, it's called East Frisian. And I was born in 1953. My parents, they were poor, very poor, but honest. And they had to work at some farmer's place. They worked their place to stay. They get very little money and a half a pig a year. So, and that's what it is. And they worked up to 16 hours a day. And we grew up not with the language of German. We grew up with the Friesisch language. It's also called Plattdeutsch. So I was the runaway, the little runaway. I had ants in my pants, and my mother tried to keep me calm, but there were no way. I loved to run away. I just loved it to go away and discover new things and stuff like that. So we lived in called a little village, Logabirum. And one day I went away and I walked right on that street where the white stripes are in the middle of the road. And I got my little horse and a bucket with sand and a shovel. And I was sitting there right in the middle of the road and was playing. Because my parents told me, don't go on that street. So at the age of 2, I just loved to do things what people told me not to do. So I went on that street. An American car came from Sweden. At that time, the Swedish people, they had a lot of American cars. There was a big Chevy with a V8, and they cruising through Germany, and they saw me in the middle of the street. And they stopped in front of me, and they picked me up, and they brought me home to my mom. And yeah, she was crying and thanking the people. And the next day, it was in the newspaper. Blonde child stopped American car. So my father was angry. My mom was scared because I would like to do it again. And there were a lot of animals I was interested in. And one day, the farmer, he had a big, how is it in English? A big gutter for the bulls. And there was one dangerous bull, and he was tied next to the gutter, so he couldn't fight and stuff like that. And he was a huge bull. And all I had to do is climb up this fence and climb on his back. And I think that was a beautiful thing to do. You know, I really enjoyed it. And the bull didn't move 1 millimeter, not one little inch. He just was standing there, and I enjoyed myself sitting on the back of this dangerous bull. And the farmer came and he saw that and he grabbed me and he took me off that bull and he slapped me on the bum. Patch, patch, patch. Yeah. He brought me to my mom and I got another slap on the bum. And, oh, child, how can you do that to me? And stuff like that. And I was all times interested in adventure on the farm, you know, climbing on this, climbing on that. And I wouldn't listening to nobody. And when I was no, when I was 7 years old, I had to go to school. So we went in the classroom. We were brought in the classroom by our parents, and you have to sit and you have to listen to the teacher, and you have to do everything what he says to you. And so the teacher came in and he talked in German. I didn't understand a word because we grew up with this Plattdeutsch language, the Frisian language. So he told the children to stand up, and I didn't because I didn't understand what he wanted from me. So I was just sitting there, and he said, "Reno, you have to stand up." And I didn't, you know. So he made me stand up, and we all had to call our name. And then he said to the class, "Okay, sit down, people, children, sit down." I didn't sit down. I was standing there. And he said, "Oh, you have to sit down." No, but I didn't want it. I didn't want it. I did not listen to that, what he told me to do. So they tied me, my legs to the stool, so I sit down and I couldn't move. I didn't like it at all, eh? It made me angry. And so on. And I was not good in anything because I was not interested what the people told me to do, what the teachers told me to do. I didn't wanted that. So I got very bad notes in the end of the year, very bad notes, and Reno is disturbing. And Reno is running, and Reno doesn't listen, and Reno did, and Reno that, and so, but they wanted to get rid of me, and they passed me on to the next class, to the next higher class. And that went all the years. They just passed me on, not because I had good notes, just to get rid of me, you know, because I was disturbing. So, and every year you get a certificate, and Reno is not listening, and Reno can't count, and he can't write, and he can't did and that. So he just passed me on. I never made it to the 10th. I was dismissed with bad notes. And we had notes from 1, what was very, very good, and 6 was very, very bad. So, I had to learn a job, you know. So, what you want to be, Reno, what you want to work, what you would like to work. And I said, I want to be a jockey. So we went to the government, to the employee office thing, and my mom told him, he wants to be a jockey. So they measured me and they said, no, he can't be a jockey. He's too high and too much weight. He is not good for being a jockey. So my mom decided, you are going to be a painter. So she rang up one of her friends, and they had a working place for painters. You know, the painting walls and cars and doors and all that stuff, floors and yeah. So my parents signed a contract for 3 years. I had to work. I had to learn that job of a painter for 3 years. So the first morning when I turned up, I had to be there at 7 o'clock. I came at 7:30. Slap, touch, right here. You are too late. You have to be there on the dot. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so next morning at 7 o'clock, I was there, and his wife came in the workshop, and she had only a bra and slip. She came nearly naked there, and she said, "Oh, my hands are not so good. You know, can you close my BH?" So I did. You know, I closed it. It was fun, and that in that moment, her husband came in and he said to me, "What are you doing there, touching my wife?" So touch, get another slap. And in the months and in the years, I learned everything. I learned washing the car, picking the potatoes, picking the apples, feeding the chicken, slaughter the pigeons. I had to go to the bank. I had to go to the to the supermarket and buy groceries and stuff like that. And so, and I learned a bit of painting as well. So in the end, I had enough of that shit, you know. And I get him to court because he didn't teach me properly being a painter. I had to do all the private shit, you know. So I bring him in trouble, and I get another one. And it was winter, and we had like 18 below zero. We didn't have a car. We had push bikes with a little cart behind it, and there were like 200 pounds of paint in it, and I had to bring it 15 kilometers down the road to a house. And halfway, I was so cold, and my uncle, he was working at a milk factory. So I stopped there and I went in there to my uncle and I said, "I'm so cold." And he said, "Yeah, I give you some hot milk and you warm up a bit and then you go." Yeah. So I did that. And when I came at that place with my paint, patch, you are too late. I saw your car and your painting there in outside and where you went. And I said I had to warm up. I was cold, you know. Patch. You are too late. We are waiting, you know. So that was that. And then the big test came, and I get my notes. They were not too, and I get my notes. They were not too bad, and I get a certificate for being a painter. So he didn't want to keep me, and I wouldn't be employed with him anyway. So he never get an apprentice again. You know, I cured this man teaching the wrong way. So I teach him. And my mom said, "Oh, now you have to you have to find a job as a painter." And I said, "No, I got enough. This is enough. You know, 3 years that shit. No, I'm not working as a painter. Not being employed. I work for the family, uncle, tanties, and friends, and I painted the houses and out inside, painted cars and stuff like that. But I got the money right in my pocket. I didn't want to pay tax, income tax. You know, I didn't see that point giving half of it to the government because they make bullshit anyway. So my mom wasn't happy, my dad wasn't happy. And then I get my first moped, a Kreidler. No, it's Zundab. My brother, he had a Kreider, and I got a Zundab. Two-stroke. Riding here, the discovering Ostfriesland, East Frisian country, discover that. Go over the border to Holland. A new language, a new culture, and everything. It was just amazing to see how different people can live. I loved that so much. So I organized my friends, and we went together with 8 little mopeds, and we going down there. And we made a lot of bullshit, and my first girlfriend, and sex, and all that stuff. It was fantastic, and drink a bit. Yeah, and then when I was 18, I made a license for motorcycle and a car. The motorcycle test was on a scooter, Heinkel scooter. So I passed the test, great, because I love to do that. So I passed the test, and I passed the driver license for the car as well. And I went with my uncle to a BMW dealer. No, first I bought an old BMW R26, 250 cubic. And that was a big thing, you know, that was already a big thing. And we rode, and we were free, and Easy Rider came out and stuff like that. So we went excited, the leather jacket, and trying to be a rocker. Yeah, and then that wasn't, I had it for a half a year or something, and then I quit that bike, and I went with my uncle to the BMW dealer, and that was the time when the new BMW R75-5 came out. A huge, big bike. The motor was amazing, and all this technique, and I was a bit pissed off because you couldn't put a sidecar. Before that, I had BMW R50, R60, R69S, riding to all the motorcycles rally I could get every weekend on the road. Party, going nuts, getting wild. And at that time in the 70s, we could do that. We were riding bikes and drinking and stuff like that. And then I got this 750. And 1973, I wanted to go with my friend Hinny to a brothel, brothel house. It was called the Lila Oil. That one, you know. So, and there was a left curve, and it was nicely in it. And then a truck came from Netherlands truck, and he was speeding too much. So the back wheels, they came on my side. And I went in with that one left cylinder into the wheels. And you know, the wheels got all this cooling gaps, so it got cooled down. And that broke off the motor block and went on my foot. So the wheel was running over the cylinder and over my foot, and then it came to the pavement. So my foot was looking like chips, cut in pieces. I had to go to the hospital and ambulance, and my parents came, and they were shocked, and they were so sad and worried about me. And the doctors, they said, yeah, we have to take the foot off. And a week later, they told me, no, we can we fix it a bit. And they wanted to give me some orthopedic shoes. They were that high. It looked awful. It was too heavy, and it was. No, I said no. I don't want to take the foot off. And they said no, we don't take it off. We take the big toe off, and we put that together again, and it will be a miss, and you will never ride a bike again. That was the point. I was nearly 1 year in hospital. And at that time, we could smoke in our rooms. So there were 8 bed. There was an 8-bedroom, and they were all motorcycle enthusiasts and all motorcycle accidents, and we were all young, and we smoked, and we drank every day, and we were drunk and pissed, and we made a lot of bullshit. And my friends came, and they brought a bottle of whiskey, and we drank it, and then I was drunk in my bed, and they pushed my bed in an elevator, and they brought me down in the cellar, and they left me there just for fun. And in the end, they didn't want me there anymore. They wanted to get rid of me, so they put me in some other bedrooms and stuff like that. And yeah, the foot didn't heal because I drank too much and smoked too much, and we made a lot of. I fucked the nurse one night. That was fun. And yeah, in the end, it was Easter weekend. I remember that. And the doctors said, Reno, you can go. We got good news for you. You can go home for the weekend, for the whole weekend. And then you come back, and then we have to do more operations and things, I had like 38 needles in my foot to stabilize it. The wound was still open. So my girlfriend, Anita, she picked me up, and she wanted to drive me home. And I said, no, don't drive home. We go to the BMW dealer, and I bought a new bike. Because the old one was squashed, So I bought a new bike, and then we went home. And the BMW dealer, he had to register it on my name. So they brought the bike Friday afternoon. It was registered on my name. I was working on 2 crutches, and I had to go upstairs to my room. And what you want to do, Reno? I said, I just want to go in my room and look around. So I put leather gear on, and I put plastic bag and a t-shirt and another plastic bag and another scarf, wool, something. Pack it nicely. I came down, and my mom looked at me, and she gets white in her face, and she said, what you want to do, Reno? And I said, I go for a ride now. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. Yes, I can. I will show you. So me and my girlfriend, we went on this bike, and it was still snowing Easter weekend, and we went in the snow to the German Autobahn, to the fast highway. We could ride so fast as we wanted. Till today, you can do that. And I went 1,200 kilometers through wintertime into the mountains, into the Alps. There was a motorcycle meeting, and I had pain in my foot. I had pain the whole way, and it was slippery and cold. And I gave a shit about it. I was so strong in my head. Got a trophy, longest distance, and I still was walking on crutches. Yeah. And Monday morning, I was back in the hospital. And the doctor came and he said, oh, I hope you enjoyed your weekend at home, see your parents and all that stuff. And I said, yeah, I enjoyed it so much. Thank you, doctor. He looked at the foot and he said, "Oh my God, what have you done?" And I told him, and he said, "You are crazy. You're crazy." But I wasn't crazy. I wanted to know how far I can go. So I was another months and months and months in that hospital, and I drink a cup of coffee. Prost. So by the German law, I could not work as a painter anymore. And then you got the chance to learn a new job. You have to go to school again, and they test you what you like to do and stuff like that. And they paid me a lot of money to do that every month. I had a good income. So I went to Hamburg, and it took 6 weeks. And they said, "Yeah, the best is you learn mechanical work on engines and stuff like that. A mechanic." Yeah. So I tried that, and no, it didn't. I didn't like it. I wanted to go back to school because it was so easy to get on that money. So they made another 6 weeks test, and then they said, "Yeah, the best is you learn a technical draftsman." I said, "Yeah, that's okay. That's what I want to learn." So it took 3 years. And Hamburg, the first big city in the 70s, the nightlife was amazing. So every night we went on the way to Hamburg, to St. Pauli, to the red light district, and we fucked the shit out of the girls, and we drank, and yeah, I had a lot of stuff. Each time I went home on the weekend, I brought some leather garnish for horses, and I brought big sacks of potatoes, and I sold it all. I put it on the blackboard, and I had a good selling thing. And one day, the cleaning woman refused to clean my room because it was just full of stuff, just old stuff from Ostfriesland. And the people in the city, they like to buy that. So, and then one night we had a little party at my place, and loud music. And then my neighbor came, student as well. He came and, "Oh, the music is too loud." And he wanted to put my radio off. And I said, "No, don't touch that radio, man. Otherwise I touch you." So I bashed him up. Next day, police came. And all my other friends, they protected me. They said, "No, he started the fight. So he couldn't do anything. I broke his nose." So that was that. And then the director of the school, he kicked me out. He said, "You can't live here anymore. You can come to the classes, but you can't live here anymore because your behavior is terrible." And I said, "Oh, that's okay." So and then the one day we had the big test. And there were a few from the school, and they had to watch us, and we had to do the drawings, technical draftsman, and we have to do all that stuff. And in the middle of it, 3 people came with ties and suit and everything, and they were talking to the teacher. And he pointed at me, and they came to me, the 3 people, and, "Are you Reno?" I said, "Yeah." "Okay, put your hands, click, clack, you're arrested." "What? Why am I arrested? What for?" "We tell you that later. You are coming now." So they took me to a room that was empty, and they made me sit down, and I stand up again, and they made me sit down, and I stand up. And then they said, we can take you to jail for 24 hours. When you don't tell your story, what happened last night, you never will make your test. But when you tell us quick, then maybe we arrest you or we let you go. And I was thinking, what the hell have I done last night? And I was in a disco with a East Frisian friend. His name was Dieter. And he met a girl, and he took that girl into his car to have some sex. She didn't know his name, but she knew me. So Dieter slapped her and made her having sex. And when that was over, she went to the police and she blamed me for it, raping her. Hey, what an asshole, eh? And I thought we were friends. But you don't do that for a friend. And so I told them the story, and they said, okay, you can go back to the class and do your test. I took my time. I went on the phone and I phoned my friend and I said, listen, the police will be there shortly. You can pack your gear. They will arrest you for harassment of a woman, raping a woman. So I lost 45 minutes on that test, but I was keep going. I was the last one who was finished. But in the end, it looked like I had one of the best notes from the whole class. And they refused me to give me a special certificate because of my behavior. But I got the paper. So I came home and Mom was crying for happiness and Dad was proud of me. And now you have to find a company and do your work. And I said, no, I don't need a boss. I don't need to work as a technical draftsman. I learned it. I know how it is. And no, I don't want to work as a technical draftsman. I don't want that. So I bought some old motorcycles, old BMWs, and I pulled them apart to learn about the technical things, put new pistons in, put new valves in, put new rods in and everything, and I built it new up, I painted it, and I made them like new, and then I sold them and I made a good profit. So there starts a whole new life for me going into this restorations of bikes. And I'm talking now 33 minutes, and I think that's enough. And I will pick up at this situation soon again and let you know what further happened. Thank you for watching me. I have to say that. Give me a like, share. Give me some people they describe and stuff like that. I have to build a YouTube channel up. Okay then. Thank you so much. Have a good one.